Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. for another week of football action with me, George. As always, I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're enjoying the lovely sunshine that we've got at the moment, which is going to slowly turn into rain, but it's all beautiful around with the football at the moment. But we're on a little break before we hit the last 16 of the European Championships. But before we get on with the show today, I better mention our co-host, as always, and resident Ipswich Town fan. It is Dan. Dan, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the football? Are you enjoying the nice weather before it rains and it's all miserable again? But the football is getting here very slowly.
It is, yeah. It's good to have a tournament, and not long till the season starts either. So it's all good football wise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not long until the season starts. It's only 43 days until Ipswich Town season starts. I know that is because I've actually had to Google it today. But don't worry, I'll mention why we had to Google it later on in the show. But before I get on what is coming up on today's show, I better mention the social medias as always. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or any other additional content we do match previews, we do all sorts. We're doing all the match previews for all the England games and for the European Championship games as well. So hello to our YouTube channel at Pitchside Talk. But what is coming up in today's show? Well, we're going to have a nice little chat about England and then their time in Group D. We're going to be looking at the Euro 2020s as a whole as we head now towards the knockout stages of the tournament, which we cannot wait for because that's when it hits the real business end of the tournament. And Ipswich Town, we're going to do a nice little catch-up chat, talking about the latest news, and also the fixture list has been revealed. That's why we're going to go wait 43 days until Ipswich Town's first game of the new League One season. How exciting. I cannot wait. But when we come back, we could be talking about England and what happened in their time in Group D.
Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, talking about England this week in the group stages of Euro 2020, which is happening in 2021. I better mention the social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube, Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or see any of our additional content we do on there, it's all on our YouTube channel at Pitchside Talk. Well, the last time we spoke about England was a few hours before the Scotland game, which ended in a 0-0 draw after a very lackluster performance by England, and also a mega win for Scotland, because a 0-0 equals 3 points in their eyes against England, which put England's sort of qualifying hopes in a little bit of doubt. But on Monday, they qualified after Belgium's win over Finland, confirming that England would qualify as one of the best third-place teams in their group. It's confusing, but we got there in the end. But we still had one game left to play in hand versus Czech Republic, which could see England qualify in second or third place in Group D. And England, they got that win over Czech Republic, seeing them go through as Group D winners. Dan, England, they topped the group, not in the best of style, 7 points, but 3 clean sheets, on our way now to the knockouts.
Yeah, I don't think over the 3 games it was the prettiest of watches, was it? But it was effective and we got through as group winners, so I don't think we can complain too much. I think after the Scotland game, there was a little bit of doubt in people's minds. I think that performance wasn't great. I think Scotland, they defended well, didn't they? But I don't think we played to our strengths in that game. So coming into the Czech Republic game, I think there was a little bit of doubt in people's minds because they'd have a pretty good group stage, haven't they? So yeah, but I think it was much better. It was a much better game on Tuesday against the Czechs. I think we performed well. Still a little bit slow, I think, but I think that's what we can. I guess that's what we're getting from this England side. Patient play, which I think with the players we have, I think our fans are kind of maybe wanting to see a little bit more urgency, I guess, with the players we have available. But 3 clean sheets, so I don't think we can complain too much. I'd just like us to see, to see us move the ball a little bit quicker, because at times it kind of gets really sluggish, and you're just like, come on, let's move the ball around, where we're just passing it around the defence and back to Pickford. But yeah, we're through the group stages. And I think we could be confident going into the next round, because we know it's going to be a tough game against Germany. But I still think we could be confident going into it, because I still think we have the quality of player to get over them. I don't think it's going to be like I think we'll try and still play this way we've been playing in the group stage. But if we can just do what we did in the group stage, solid defence and keep these clean sheets, then hopefully we'll be fine.
Yeah, well, as you said, they're solid defence, clean sheets. It's very much binary results, really. It's been very much 1-0s, 1-0s. We had the odd 0-0 there, but Scotland could only really defend, to be perfectly honest. They couldn't really attack. Let's be pretty honest about that. Sorry, Scotland fans there, but that is the truth. But before we talk about the game that happened against Czech Republic, all the action was happening the day before, with Ben Chilwell and Mason Mount forced to self-isolate after interacting with Scotland player Billy Gilmore, who tested positive for COVID-19, which left Gareth Southgate very confused about a very bizarre situation he described. As his players are testing negative, but they have to self-isolate until the 28th of June, which means they missed out on the game on Tuesday, and they're going to possibly miss out on the game against Germany next Tuesday as well. But none of the Scotland players had to self-isolate themselves. Dan, a very bizarre situation here for Gareth Southgate, but he sort of was a bit confused of why his players got self-isolated if they're testing negative, but Scotland players who are in Billy Gilmore's sort of camp and bubble don't. So he feels like he's been affected here, but also as well, he made the point of teams are traveling around in coaches and buses and planes, and they don't have to, and for confined areas for hours and hours, and they don't have to self-isolate or whatsoever. But if you speak for 120 seconds too long in an open area with fresh air come through, that's not allowed. But a very tough decision for him, but he has to unfortunately follow the rules, doesn't he? Here,
he does. I don't really understand it myself, because as you said, the Scotland team, they've been in contact with Billy Gilmore more than these two players, haven't they? I mean, they're on the same team, for God's sake. They've been traveling around in a training camp together. So how they can still play absolutely fine if they get a negative test. And Mount, who I think is quite crucial to Gareth Southgate's plans. Whether the fans think that he should be starting every single game, I know that Gareth Southgate definitely does. So it's a massive blow for his plans going into the that last group stage game and the game against Germany. But unfortunately, that's the that's the rules, and I don't understand them myself. As I said. Chatting for 120 seconds, did you say? More than they
talked for 20 minutes, but apparently it was 120 seconds too long, according to Gareth Southgate, which he was told by all the protocols.
Is that really going to make a difference? Like, is it? I just think if they have a positive test, they need to self-isolate. I think that's just how it should be. If they came back negative, then fine, because it just it ruins their plans, doesn't it? But yeah, obviously Gareth Southgate has to work around that, has to deal with it, because that's how it is, unfortunately. And I think if Mount and Chilwell are going to miss this game against Germany, then it will be a big miss, especially for Mason Mount. I think that'll be a big miss to miss him in this game. But yeah, that's how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be a big miss, I think, for both players, really. I think both players are crucial to the squad, but especially Mason Mount. He has been in Gareth's sort of plans, and I think he didn't really. He is influential in sort of what Gareth wants to build going forward with England. Well, Gareth, he was forced into 4 changes to be precise, with Mount having to leave the squad, but also Phil Foden, he wasn't involved at all because he's got a yellow card, and Gareth didn't want to risk him being suspended for the knockout game against Germany. But Walker, Maguire, and Grealish and Saka all came in, and I think we can say all the changes that Southgate made, they shine through. Really, Walker looked pretty decent down the right. It was very solid, a bit more conservative. Maguire, he got 90 minutes under his belt. He's sort of a first choice really for Gareth Southgate, and he looked pretty solid alongside John Stones and Tyrone Mings. But also, I really want to mention about Saka and Grealish here. Both added that attacking spark that England needed going forward. Surely now they can't be dropped for the game against Germany here, because if they're not in the squad, where is that attacking spark going to really come from going forward?
Yeah, it's they've had such good games against Czech Republic, and I think, as you said, it was kind of what England were missing, especially from the Scotland game. I think that attacking threat was really missing. In that draw against Scotland. But yeah, obviously, I'm a fan of Grealish. So I was happy that he was starting. But I think when I saw Saka in there, I think there's been a lot of people who's talking about Sancho and he should be in there. So I was like, I don't really understand why Saka is starting. But I was proven absolutely wrong, because he put in a fantastic performance, didn't he? The threat he had going forward was brilliant. And I think it'll be mad if them two don't start against Germany. Because as you said, where is that threat going to come from? So I'd be very surprised if they don't. I'm still a bit wary of Gareth Southgate and the changes he makes, because I think a lot of England managers, and I think with Gareth Southgate as well, he's kind of prone to making the safe option. Sometimes that's not the bad option, but he's more defensive, isn't he, as a manager, I think. So I really hope he sticks with these two. I think he'll be crazy not to from the game they had against Czech Republic, because it's just when they get the ball, no one can, they could just breeze past people with ease. And it's really good to see that from an England side, isn't it? And I think against Germany, who, we all know that they're going to be a tough opposition. I think that's really, really what we need in the attacking third, definitely.
Yes, well, Saka, he won man of the match, really. So
he did, yeah.
So he's dropped, and also Grealish, he went off early as well in the game. So it sort of suggests that both players will, touch wood, be starting. Well, somebody I want to mention who has been performing quite well in this Gareth Southgate side is Raheem Sterling. Somebody who was questioned, why is he starting? Why is somebody like Rashford, Sancho not starting over Sterling? But once again, Gareth, he's kept the faith in him, and he has produced the winning goal. He's the only England player to actually score at the moment in this tournament. He's got 2 goals so far, but surely we need to stop questioning why is he starting, because he's the only one here producing, and without him, we'll be possibly looking at England maybe playing a different side, or not even qualifying at all for the knockout stages.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, and I think he has been questioned because of the season he's had, hasn't he? For Manchester City, he hasn't been, as good as he's been in the seasons before. But he still brings something to that England side, and I think he's so dangerous. He's just a really dangerous player in that attacking third, and I think I understand where fans are coming from, because I guess we haven't seen a lot of his, in behind runs in this tournament so far. I guess a goal against Croatia, but I guess in that Scotland game he was quite quiet, wasn't he? So I think maybe because of that, maybe fans didn't want him to start, but he's making the difference. As you said, he's scored both of the goals. He's been there when it's needed, because so far Harry Kane's been a little bit of a disappointment. I don't know what that's about, but he's been there to pick up the scraps, hasn't he? So yeah, I think he should be starting against Germany, and I think Gareth Southgate trusts him, and that's good to see. So yeah, maybe we should stop questioning him a little bit, but yeah, it's good to see that he's scoring goals because he was decent in the last World Cup, but usually in tournaments he's a bit quiet, isn't he? But it's good to see him getting goals in this tournament because I really like him as a player. I think he's a great player for in the Premier League. I think he makes a massive difference in that England side as well.
Yeah, I think we sort of look at. I think Gareth Southgate, he puts a lot of trust in them to sort of produce, and he has. He put a lot of faith in him in 2018. Didn't quite work out from there, but he's kept the faith in him and he's playing well. But England, they're now heading to the last 16, playing on Tuesday in front of 45,000 fans at Wembley, which we cannot wait for, versus a bitter rivals Germany, who finished second place in their group in Group F. Dan, things now get super serious here. England might not be playing the most entertaining of football, but they have got their own way and it's working for them. We cannot question, don't fix what's not broken sort of thing. But, surely we've got to just remain calm here and trust Southgate here, because Germany have been a bit shaky in this tournament. Didn't have that great start against France. They absolutely hammered Portugal in, but then they had to fight back against Hungary just to make it here. Germany is still looking a little bit shaky. Surely England stand a very good chance here, but England have some demons here because of Euro 96, the 2010 World Cup. So it's going to be a little bit demons here, but surely if we can beat Germany here, we'll be flying to the semi-finals because we're going to have an easier quarters here.
Yeah, it's a winnable game, isn't it? When you look at it, I think it is a winnable game, but we've got to be on top form, haven't we? Because there's no taking away from the fact that Germany have got a quality side. They have been a bit shaky this tournament, but that win against Portugal, fantastic performance from them. So they're still going to be dangerous. I think there's always going to be nerves going into a game like this because it is against bitter rivals. But I think if we could stick with our game plan and try not to concede and score at least one, I guess, or but I guess just play as we have been in the group stage. I know it's not amazing football, but I think the main thing is frustrating the Germans because they like that free flowing kind of game, don't they? So I think frustrating them will be the best thing to do, and I think that's what we're good at so far. So I'm going to go into it quite confident. Obviously, there's going to be a worry in the back of my head that it is Germany, and what happens every time we play Germany. So yeah, but I think if we can just get past Germany, it's an easy route to the final, in my opinion. I think we're better than Netherlands on our side, so anything could happen if we beat Germany. So it's super exciting. It's going to be a huge game. Can't wait for it.
But also, you say the same for the Germans as well, because if the Germany beat England, then it's an easy route for them into the final as well. So that's basically everything for England this week. Let us know what you think. England versus Germany, who's going to be coming out on top? Come on, you three lions. But when we come back, we're going to be focusing on Euro 2020 itself. The whole group stages, they are now done and dusted. And we'll talk about the teams that have made it through to the last 16.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk on iRadio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with George and Dan as always. Now, before we move on talking about Euro 2020 in 2021, I better mention the social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk _ Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. And don't worry, if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. 6 p.m. at Fridays, it will be up on our YouTube and our Mixcloud. So if you missed anything, us talking about England, don't worry, it'll all be there for you. Now, the group stages are now done and dusted for Euro 2020. with 16 international teams qualifying for the round of 16. So we're going to go through each group and find out who has qualified out of each group. So from Group A, we saw Italy. They went unbeaten, 9 points in 3 games, topping the group, and joining them was Wales and Switzerland. Switzerland in third place because the third place rule, best of thing. Very confusing, but they qualified. Dan, Italy, they have really shown themselves to be the favourites of this competition, really the dark horses, but they look super strong. Wales, they repeated their heroics from 5 years ago, and they've got a sort of an all right run, really, if they can get going. We know the momentum that Wales have; they thrive on these moments here. But for Switzerland as well, that win against Turkey really saved their bacon, and they're sort of running the competition.
Yeah, it did. Obviously, Italy have been fantastic. I think that's probably, one of the big surprises for me this tournament, that Italy have looked so good, and I'd say they're one of the favourites now. They performed well in all 3 of their games. Wales, I think, they've done well again. I think going into this game against Denmark, they'll feel confident that they could get through that. So it could be another quarter-final. See what happens in the quarter-final. Wait and see if it happens again like last year. And Switzerland, I think that win obviously leapfrogged them and saved them, because I don't think the other 2 games they looked too great, did they? But the draw against Wales, I guess, they played okay, but they've got France in the next round, haven't they? So looks like it could be it for them in the round of 16.
Yeah, I think that long wait of winning a knockout game is going to continue for Switzerland, unfortunately.
Yes.
But for Wales, they're going to be, it's going to be funny. They're going to be the home side in the Amsterdam Stadium, but they're going to have no fans there from Wales, which is a bit sad. Basically, it's going to be, it's confusing. Denmark can have fans there, but Wales can't. Very confused why, because both countries have listed Holland as an amber warning. So, madness. But moving on to Group B, Belgium, they claimed 9 points from the 3 games, going unbeaten like Italy as well. But it came down to a showdown for second place between Finland, Russia, and Denmark. And Denmark, they got a fairy tale victory over Russia to qualify for the next round. Dan, Belgium, they showed off their dominance, really, in the same boat as Italy. One of the favourites, really. They've just shown how good they are, really. But for Denmark, really reaching that last 16 after a very emotional campaign, we could say, from Christian Eriksen's collapse on the football pitch, and we're glad to say that he's all okay now, been discharged from hospital. He's now starting the long road to recovery. But for them, they've been really affected by that on and off the pitch. But they really showed in that sort of Russia game that how good they are. I think they're the first ever team to lose their opening 2 games in a European Championship qualifier, group stages, and still qualify for the next round. But they now set up this fairy tale tie against Wales. And I think we can say for a lot of people like me, Denmark is really my second team at the moment, because I want them to do well.
Yeah, I think, after what happened to them, the awfulness of what happened, I think everyone's got a sweet spot for them now, haven't they? I think it's a great achievement for them to lose their first 2 games and still qualify. Is fantastic for them. I think they can go into that Wales game thinking that they could win that as well. I think both of them teams will be confident. So I think that'll be a really interesting game. Obviously, they have a really good side. Let's wait and see if they can, see off that Wales team who, are good themselves. It'll definitely be interesting, a game. But obviously, they couldn't beat Belgium, who have been excellent as we expected them to be. I think during the group stage, I said that it'd be an Italy-Belgium final. Obviously, that can't happen now because they've been on the same side of the draw, which I guess is good for England in a way. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see out of them 2 who makes it, because I think it will be between them 2. That'll probably be a semi-final game. But I think Belgium have been brilliant as well, haven't they? And I think they missed De Bruyne a little bit in the first game. They still played brilliantly, but when he came back, they just looked unstoppable for me.
Yes, they have. Well, I think the only one problem is your semi-final prediction there. They can meet in the quarterfinals if both of them win against their team. So I think
Quarterfinals then.
Yes, it's a quarterfinal thing, but that'd be still entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to Group C, we saw 3 more teams qualify out of this group in Holland, Austria, and Ukraine, thanks to the third place qualification rule for Ukraine. They made it into the last 16. Holland, they got 3 wins out of 3 games, getting maximum points the first time since 2008, since they'd done that in the European Championships. But then they crashed out in the next round. But for Austria to set up a massive tie against Italy, one of the favourites, they looked okay, Austria. But for Ukraine, they're taking on Sweden here. A real opportunity, really, for Ukraine, because they're playing against a side that's sort of similar. Sweden maybe are the better side here, but there's a real opportunity for them to possibly play a big hitter like England or Germany in the next round.
Yeah, that's kind of a tie where both sides are similar, I think. So it will definitely be interesting. Obviously, this third place thing has really helped them because I think they've looked okay. They haven't really set the world alight, have they? But I think going up against the Sweden side, who themselves, they won the group, didn't they? In their group, so I still think that'll be a tight game. So it'll be interesting to see if they get through to the quarterfinals. I'm obviously going to be playing whoever wins the England-Germany game. But yeah, I think this group, I think Holland, they've done really well to win all their games. It's good to see them back in a knockout stage again. It's been a long while since we've seen that. So it's good to see that again. I can't see them making it all the way, unfortunately. I just don't think they've looked a bit leaky, I think, in defence at some points. Obviously, giving that lead away against Ukraine was, quite a big. I know they still won the game, but it was quite poor from them. So, yeah, I think it'll be tough for them. And Austria, great achievement for them to get to the knockout stages, but they've got to play Italy, so it's going to be very tough for them as well. But great for them to get through the group stage.
Yes, great for them to get to the group stage, and also Holland on that what we call that easier side possibly. So they have possibly a good run, maybe to the semi-finals. We do not know. We're now moving on to Group D, and we saw 3 more teams qualify out of here in England, Croatia, and Czech Republic as the best third place team, and Scotland dropping out. Dan, 3 more teams through to the next round. England, we know they're going to be playing Germany. Croatia, they're going to be hosting Spain. But for Czech Republic, we've had a fantastic time. They're going to be playing Holland. And, as you said, the Holland got a leaky defence, but Holland can turn up when they really want to sometimes.
They can, yeah. They've got a leaky defence, but in the attacking third, they're lethal at times, aren't they? So obviously, it's going to be a tough game for them. I was quite surprised that Czech Republic finished third in the end because they were top before they played England, weren't they? So to finish third, it was quite interesting. But I think this group has finished the way I predicted it was finished. And I think Croatia, they looked quite poor against England, didn't they? And I think that they drew against Czech Republic as well. But I think they went into the game against Scotland, needed to win, and they got through it. So, they come up against Spain, which will be a tough game for them, but probably a game that they think they could get something from. And we've talked about England, haven't we? They've been solid and won the group, and that's going to be a massive game in the round of 16. So, yeah, I think this was kind of what we predicted the group to be. I think Scotland will be disappointed because I think they were solid defensively against England, but they just didn't have enough, did they? So yeah, unfortunate for them on their return back to a major tournament.
Yeah, that 23-year wait did end a bit in pain. And also, I think Croatia really put them in a nice station. I think if we could be perfectly honest. Really bad pun there. Let's just avoid that. Moving on to Group E. We saw 2 teams qualify out of this group as Sweden as group winners. Didn't expect that. Setting up a tie against Ukraine. And also Spain, they got their first win of the tournament, which helped them get out of the group, a final victory over Slovakia. Sweden have a fabulous chances to make the quarterfinals. And they've actually looked pretty good themselves, really, without Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was supposed to be involved in the squad. They look really quite a decent side. We saw what they did last time in the World Cup 3 years ago for Spain. They got through in the end, but they set up really a tricky tie against Croatia, who we all know what Croatia are like in knockout football. They've had a slow start themselves, but it's not going to be easy for them.
It's not, no. And I think from Spain, obviously they absolutely thrashed Slovakia, which was completely different from their first 2 games because they absolutely dominated, didn't they? Absolutely dominated, but only got draws out of it, which was really, really strange to watch. I think that first the Spain-Sweden game was really, really poor game, wasn't it? I think that's the worst one I've watched of the tournament. Obviously, Sweden, they put up a really good fight against Spain. They defended well. Looked very dangerous on the counter-attack as well. So, I think they'll be pleased to win the group and pleased to get a tie against Ukraine, which I reckon they think they could get something from. Could set up another quarter final against England, which will be interesting for the second time in 2 tournaments. So, I think good for Sweden to go through. I think Spain, I think they'll, coming up against Croatia, as you said, it's going to be a tough game because we know what Croatia are like. But I think they could get past that, and it will be interesting to see how far they go. I don't think they'll make the final. I think that'll be just a step too far for them. Just because they don't seem, I don't know, I guess when they come up against a better side, they don't seem to take their chances enough. That was completely different in the Slovakia game, but they still, don't take their chances. And in a tournament like this, that's crucial. So, yeah, we'll definitely be interesting to see how far they go.
Very crucial there. And finally, Group F, or the Group of Death, which saw some very gripping action on the final night as all the teams swap positions. I think at one point, I think at one point Portugal were first, second, third, fourth, and then back up to third. It was very confusing. But France, Germany, and Portugal, they all qualified out of the group. Hungary, unfortunately, being eliminated despite having a fabulous tournament, getting a draw against France and a draw against Germany. Absolutely brilliant results there by Hungary. Dan, a brilliant group to watch. I'm still quite surprised that one of these powerhouses haven't dropped out here. But for France, they set up that tie now against Switzerland. Portugal, they now play Belgium because the third place draw. In Germany, they set up that tie against England. But it's good to see all the powerhouses getting through here.
It is, yeah. And I think this has been most exciting group out of the lot. I think during them 2 games yesterday, England could have batted all 4 of them at one point, as it stands. So yeah, it was a mental 90 minutes, wasn't it? Teams swapping around. I think France, they've been a little bit disappointing for me. They haven't looked like their usual selves. They haven't looked like the usual fast-paced France that we knew from 2018. I still think they're classed as one of the favourites, obviously, but I don't know. I'm just a little bit disappointed by what I've seen from France so far. As for Germany and Portugal, I think they're very, very decent sides, but they've got mistakes in them. I think, getting through the group stage was probably it was a minimum for them, and they did it. So, they're going to be pleased with that. I think that game against Belgium for Portugal is going to be a massive test for them, and it's going to be a really good game. And obviously Germany play England. So good to see these teams go through. Obviously Hungary put up a fantastic fight. We're so close to getting, they were at one point they were second in the group against these 3 teams. So, massive respect for them to putting up a fight like that, because I wasn't expecting it.
No, I was not expecting it at all. And here is your fixture list for the last 16 of Euro 2020 in 2021. So Wales, they play Denmark, and Italy play Austria on Saturday. Holland, they play Czech Republic, and Belgium play Portugal on the Sunday. And then the Monday, we have Croatia playing Spain, with France versus Switzerland after that on the Monday. And then Tuesday, we have England versus Germany and Sweden versus Ukraine. So that's everything for your roundup of Euro 2020 this week. And when we come back, we're just going to have enough time here to do a quick little roundup on Ipswich Town, as another player departed, and the fixtures have been revealed for the up-and-coming season. Hooray! How exciting!
Hey.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, talk about Ipswich Town this week. Hooray! I better mention the social medias. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube and Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. And if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. At 6 p.m. on Friday, the show is going to be re-released. That's the word I'm looking for, to listen back live. If you missed anything from Euro 2020, all about the group stages and England in Euro 2020, do not worry. It'll be up on our YouTube and Mixcloud at 6 p.m. And now, finally, another week has passed and we've had more news from Ipswich Town with another player departing, and the fixture list was revealed for the up-and-coming League One season. How exciting. But firstly, another player has left the club this summer, making it now 11 players who have departed this summer. And it was Ollie Hawkins. After only one season at the club, he is off now to League Two side Macclesfield Town for an undisclosed fee. We've got money for a player. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Dan, another player out of the door. All of Ipswich Town signings from last season, all those summer signings, they're now gone. They're all now gone. But Ollie Hawkins' time at the club will probably be really remembered for being the plan B option in the striker department, only really scoring one goal out of many appearances, and never really, unfortunately, finding his feet, unfortunately, at the club.
No, he had a disappointing season, didn't he? He wasn't great, and I guess when we signed him, I was okay that we signed him. It's just it wasn't one of them, standout signings, was it? I think we all knew he was going to be back up to Norwood and Jackson, and he didn't really impress, did he? Which I guess is unfortunate for him. I think going to Mansfield, I think, would be a good move for him. I think that's probably more his level. So yeah, I think the fact that we got money for him is massive from our owners. I think that is absolutely bonkers that we managed to get money for him. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be a lot, but the fact we got money for him is brilliant from them. They're not messing around, are they? So yeah, obviously wishing the best at Mansfield in League Two. Hopefully he'll be able to show off what he could do there a bit more than he did here. But obviously not in Paul Cook's plans. And I'm not exactly upset about that either.
No, unfortunately not in his plans. But I think was Mike Ashton. I think he needs a knighthood now because he's got money for Ollie Hawkins.
Yeah,
I'm still visibly quite confused that we've got money for him. Bonkers.
Yeah.
Well, the fixture list has also been revealed. It was revealed yesterday at 9 a.m. on Thursday for the up-and-coming 21/22 season in League One. And Ipswich Town will be kicking off at home against newly promoted Morecambe. And in less than a week, they are doing their first away trip to Burton Albion, and another away trip then to Cheltenham, and a few days later, and then 2 home games in a row against MK Dons and Wimbledon. Other key dates for you as well. So we're playing Sheffield Wednesday on the 20th of September, probably the biggest team really to come down from the Championship. Paul Cook's return to Wigan will be on the 11th of December in front of fans. Gillingham away on Boxing Day. Then Lincoln City at home for New Year's Day. Good Friday, Ipswich Town away to Rotherham. And then the ending of the season on the 30th of April at the moment, probably be the 1st of May, against Charlton. Dan, the fixture list is here. Getting really now excited. We now know who Ipswich Town will be playing. It looks, I think we could say, it's actually quite a good run, really, in the sort of the fixtures. What we've got really is no sort of big teams are playing back to back constantly. It looks a pretty fair fixture list, and it's only now 43 days to go until we're back at Portman Road and seeing them play against Morecambe. How exciting!
Yeah, I know it's not long to go, and I think that first home game against Morecambe, obviously a newly promoted side, got through the playoffs, so we're not really going to know how they're going to be playing. But I think that first home game is going to be fantastic. Obviously, the new owners will be over. Hopefully, it'll be a good attendance. the atmosphere will be brilliant. Hopefully some good weather. Can't wait for it. So yeah, I think the first month we've got a decent run. Obviously, 2 newly promoted sides and 3 teams that finished in the bottom half. I think MK Dons was probably the team that did best of this lot last year, so that'll probably be the hardest game. And then I think the September is a tough one. We've got Sheffield Wednesday and Doncaster and Lincoln in a row, so that's going to be a tough run of fixtures. Obviously, I'm looking at that Boxing Day away to Gillingham. That'll be interesting. I think we played Gillingham on Boxing Day 2 seasons ago at home, if I remember right.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and again we've got a home first game of the season and away and home on the last game of the season as well. So yeah, we've had that for quite a few times in a row now, which is interesting. But yeah, I think this is the day you kind of look what away games you want to go to. When we play the big sides, and it kind of brings home that the season is not that far away, which is exciting stuff. I can't wait for this season. Hopefully it goes well.
Yes, hopefully it does. It's super exciting. But yeah, if you want to see the whole fixture, it is available on Ipswich Town's website, Twitter, and all their other social media as well. There's a lot. But I want to mention as well, we've been also drawn in the Papa John's trophy, the favourite trophy that everybody really wants to participate in every year. And Ipswich Town are set to face Colchester and Gillingham once again. As you said earlier, you're quite surprised that Arsenal under 21s haven't been just drawn yet against this town, but they are actually one of the clubs that are invited to be in this group. So be interesting what happens here. But Ipswich Town, they're going to be playing a Colchester United and Gillingham once again. Or sorry, I mean Ipswich Town B. Sorry, not Colchester. Never heard of Colchester. It's a brand new team that's just started up. But in all seriousness, seriousness here, another kind of quite easy group really for Ipswich Town if they want to take this trophy quite seriously. And at the end of the day, it's a trip to Wembley and some silverware here.
It is, yeah. Obviously, last year, the previous manager didn't take it seriously. We didn't get through the group. It'll be interesting to see. I doubt Paul Cook will take it seriously either. It's not going to be his priority, is it? The league is a massive priority this year. More than it's ever been, in my opinion. So it'd be good to go on a run in that competition. I think it would be good to see Ipswich at Wembley for once. I think we're still one of 7 teams who haven't been there to the new Wembley. And obviously, if it's not a competition that I'm really interested in or happy about playing in, but if we make it to Wembley, then that's fine. But yeah, we've got the draw for the academy teams later today, so it'll be interesting to see who we get in that. And if it's Arsenal, then same again.
Same again. I was back out. I thought you won an extra star on your Ipswich Town badge there for the Papa John's trophy, because we all know.
I doubt we'll get a star for the bloody Papa John's trophy.
Not even half. Not even half a star.
No, it's not exactly a fantastic bit of silverware, is it?
Are you sure? I think it's a nice bit of silverware. I hear you get 3 pizzas at the end. Well, that is everything actually for today's show. We've ran out of time before VAR intervenes and probably rules us for offside or handball in the penalty box or something controversial like that. We better end the show today. Dan, I want to thank you very much for joining me this week. I guess I'll see you next week as always. I actually don't know what we'll be talking about next week. That's the beauty, really, in the summer period, because you never know what you're going to be really talking about. We know we talk about the Euros, but you never really know after that, do we?
No, you don't. It's always a bit unknown, isn't it, during the summer?
It is unknown, but that's what we like to hear. Well, I want to thank you very much for listening to today's show. Before we go, I mentioned the social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube and Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any pro shows or even listen if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. It'll be up in a few minutes' time on our YouTube and our Mixcloud. Well, I thank Dan very much for joining us today. I've been George. He's been Dan, and we'll see you next week. And ciao.
See ya.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.